yourself American. What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful. You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I've used the word anchor baby. You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada. Tell him he's still running with Trump, too.
Anchor Baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo. You would be consistent way, in my opinion. You the blackest one in his room. I think so. And what happened was his mom got pregnant on the other side of the border, and within a few hours before just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him start on American soil. So he became anchor baby. You don't call that anchor baby for nothing. Amazing. We like this anchor baby,
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for tuning into my show. I'm the American Anchor Baby. About to get started here in a second. What is up? What is up? Crank it up to 300. We're doing a little audio testing here. Looks like it was loud, Bill. Hey, Bill. We got Bill, the engineer, in the studio. Got a nice show planned ahead for you guys today. I mean, a lot going on. Yes, a lot kind of going on, but also kind of nothing. But we're going to get into some stuff here. You heard about the shooting. You heard about some of this, some of that. Very interesting stuff. And I want to get into Steve Harvey. What's going on with Steve Harvey? You'll be a little surprised. It's not the gossip, but something his wife said. I found a little interesting. We're going to get into all that and your calls. 888-775-3773 if you want to jump on the line. So, what's up, everybody? Welcome. Thank you. Audio is bad. Yes, sound is all whack. Okay, Billy, as I continue just saying hello to the people here, if you could just hop on the headphones there and see what you hear, see if you can help me out here. It does sound a little odd. Massive distortion, they're saying, actually. Huh. Massive distortion. So, are you unable to hear me at all? Folks at home, can you even understand what I'm saying? Don't eat the mic. It might be just redlining. So yeah. See if you can turn me down, Bill. Let me know, guys, in the chat, are you at least able to hear, at least make out what I'm saying here, despite the distortion? So anyways, just that note, let me just say hi to everybody. Welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in. Friday, we had ourselves a nice flight. Too loud is what it is. Gotcha. So we'll keep going here, Bill. I think we'll be turning me down and help me out here. So just hit me up in the chat when you can hear, when the sound is fine. Give me that. Just drop a 1 in the chat if the audio has been fixed. But thank you for everyone who joined. Friday, we had a nice flight. Very nice flight. We were flying Trump Force One. You gotta love it. We had a VIP on board. VIP on board. We were carting out the president out of Georgia. We flew out of Georgia on a secret mission to cart the president out to his residence in Mar-a-Lago, where he then was transported to a secret location where he is now working on saving the country. But yes, we did that on Friday. That was us. And we landed the plane beautifully. It was the best landing of all time. They call it the best landing, the most beautiful landing, tremendous landing. So I don't want anybody lying and slandering and libeling Anchor Baby Airlines, because our legal team will go after you. If you mention anything about a Soul plane landing, my legal team will know. All right, y'all. What's up, everybody over there on Rumble, rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. Thank you for the support there. You guys rock. All right, so more shootings, more opportunities. You've been hearing about it. It's a mess. But I sometimes avoid it these big stories of shootings or whatever. And sometimes I don't, but, sometimes I don't want a signal boost and all that. There's no point to it. But sometimes there's a little something interesting that we might be able to learn. And I think this is one of them. Might be able to get a little bit of something out of this story, okay? And what I mean is a little bit of insight, maybe some clarity as to what is going on with the people, okay? And what are they motivated by and angered by? And maybe we can, out of this story, we can maybe pick out the deceptions here. We'll at least try, because that's kind of what I'm interested in. Not all this, I don't know, he said, she said, who's killing more? Although there's probably an answer to that one. Which race is doing more mass shootings and who's, right? I mean, there's probably an answer to that. But I'm interested in how we react to these stories. And what is it that is making it so difficult to get to the truth? Why is a story of a shooting dividing people? Now you might think, well, duh, because people have different takes and different sides to it, different reasoning as to why it's all coming around. But even then, I think the fighting is silly. Well, I'm talking about Jackson, Florida. They're saying Jacksonville, Florida is in mourning. You heard about this Saturday shooting of a gunman who entered a Dollar General store, okay, killing 3 black people. And the authorities said the gunman died after shooting himself with an AR-15. He had a handgun. And it had all the trappings of a, white supremacist shooter, they're calling it. White gunman, it's a racist attack, they're calling it. 21-year-old shooter. And he had swastikas painted on the gun, and they're saying this and that, okay? And it's a mess. It's a mess because this is a moment where there was a evil act, but right away there used to be a bit of buffer. It feels like even in my lifetime there used to be a bit of buffer in between an event, a violent event, as the social media companies are calling them. You're not allowed to deny violent events. Violent events. You don't want to be peddling in those kinds of conspiracies. Question a violent event. That's a violent event denialism. Take that in for a second. But before we do any violent event denialism here, far be it from this show to do any VED. It still remains that this happened, okay? And like I was saying, there used to be a buffer, it seems, between the violent event and the, the opportunism. I'm talking about many things here. The government, right? They'll go gun control. They'll say this or that. This or that move needs to be done by the government, and that's going to require the public's to go along with it, and money. You got lawyers and people, civil rights activists and those kinds of people. Sometimes civil rights activists and lawyer kind of blend. You know what I'm talking about? Shout out to Benjamin Crump. He, one of the best, honestly. The best to ever do it. And so they have all that, and that opportunism. And then the families themselves. You have the families involved themselves. You might think that's a horrible thing to say. But maybe you're not aware that there's really such little love in the world, and even in the families, these victims' families, even there's opportunism there. So, the story a little bit here. Gunman kills 3. The young man, Ryan, I believe. Hold on. Let me get you the name here. Get you the full story here. White man armed with a high-powered rifle killed 3 black people. As you know, that's the main thing. Getting you the report here from Reuters. Okay. White male wearing a tactical vest. You know, he was supposed to go to a school first, but he was stopped before entering the said school. Jacksonville. Ryan Christopher Palmeter. You already know the name by now. 3 victims, a 19-year-old, 29-year-old, and a 52-year-old. And so they're saying he had a manifesto, and they're saying all sorts of things, right? Jacksonville Sheriff, TK Waters, a black man. We'll be watching some video of him, I believe, shortly. This shooting was racially motivated, and he hated black people, he said. And the hate that motivated the shooter's killing spree adds an additional layer of heartbreak, okay? An additional layer of heartbreak to this horrible thing, they're saying. And what are they talking about? They're talking about that the hate that motivated this shooter. This is what's interesting, too. You got to remember that the hate that motivated this shooter, they're going to try and describe as unique, okay? And so let's get into it here, because they're saying there's a manifesto. Now, I haven't found any sort of manifesto myself, but I've found the reports of it. And they're saying the gunman had written messages detailing his hatred of black people, police say. This shooting was racially motivated. He hated black people. He knew what he was doing. He was 100% lucid, the sheriff here added. The gunman had been detained in 2017 under the Baker Act, mental health legislation that allowed the involuntary detainment of an individual, okay? So he was known. Have we heard this story before? He wasn't exactly a out-of-nowhere shooter. Some authorities somewhere had some knowledge of, to the degree where he was detained for 72 hours, okay? Due to, they say, mental health reasons. So he is acting out. There was problems. He was known to authorities somewhat. The sheriff said his weapons had been acquired legally, telling the reporters the problem was not the availability of the guns, but the killer being a bad guy. So thanks to the sheriff there. There's some clarity there. We're going to get into it here. We'll see if we can pick out the moments where there's just brainwashing going on. But even in this, the sheriff was at least not blaming the guns. He's blaming the killer, saying he's a bad guy. It wasn't the fact that he could acquire the gun. So, you know, our standards and bars are low. Our bar is low for what constitutes someone saying and standing for the right thing. But thank you, sheriff. He apparently let people out of the shop without injuring them, too. Why? I don't know. Some of them were white, but I do believe there was a couple that were not, said the sheriff. Okay. And then the U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland, okay, he also said, investigating this attack as a hate crime and an act of racially motivated violent extremism, no person in this country should have to live in fear of hate-fueled violence, and no family should grieve the loss of a loved one to bigotry and hate. So you're getting a bit of the spirit behind this on the side of the law and the government, that no one should have to go through this. This is a hate crime, and they're investigating as such. You know Merrick Garland a little bit. Department of Justice, AG Merrick Garland, you've heard him before, saying white supremacy, that kind of terrorism being the greatest threat to America, just to give you a little bit of the mentality of Merrick Garland. And so all this doesn't take away from the evil act, okay? It doesn't take away from the evil act at all. But I wanted to point this story out, because they're calling it hate crime. There's this special amount of hate, that this hate added an additional layer, an additional layer to the heartbreak, right? An additional layer on top of already gunning down someone to death, right? Shooting someone to death. If that wasn't enough, there's an additional layer. And then the reporting on it. It's all the reporting. They're saying Saturday's incident in Jacksonville bears similarity to last year's shooting in Buffalo, where a white supremacist killed 10 black people, and took place 5 years after another gunman opened fire during a video game tournament. And so it's like they're pointing to these other past moments, and they had to go 1 year ago, 5 years ago. You know what else happened in the last 5 years? You guys remember that Waukesha? The Waukesha attack, where some man, drove his SUV into a Christmas parade. And this is a person who also had his own scrawlings online, manifesto-esque scrawlings online where he hated white people. There was another moment in the past 5 years. Why don't they want to talk about that? And it's so sick that I even have to talk in this way where I'm saying, well, what about this? Well, what about this situation? It's really sick. But I feel compelled to. I feel compelled to because it's just unfair. And it seems to me like there is a effort to downplay some stuff and make other things total big headlines. Right? The people involved, Merrick Garland, they see white supremacy, that kind of terrorism, as the biggest threat to America. And so what are those people going to do? They're going to try and look for things to justify and bolster their point, okay, their worldview. But can we get clarity on a situation as opposed to trying to prove that this is true or not? Right? Like, do we have out of control, racist little, racist white, this is a man now, a young man, or is it that it's black, or is it white, or is it this? And people are taking sides, people calling Hake, people calling Jesse Lee. But the reason I want to talk about this is because we're all getting like fooled. We're all getting, there's the people like Merrick Garland, they don't really care about why this is happening. They've already decided why, because there's the threat of white supremacy without any proof. They've already decided that. And so what are they doing? They got people calling in the different shows, Jesse and all that. And these people are calling in with a misplaced, disagreement and anger to Jesse and Hake, not realizing their emotion and their whole mentality on this shooting has been manipulated and placed there by the media, the government, and other actors, okay? And black politicians. And so they continue this fight on behalf of them, on behalf of the black politicians, on behalf of the media, not realizing they're a pawn in the whole thing, okay? And I'm going to express more of what I'm talking about here. And you can call in, of course. If you disagree, agree. But I'll express what I'm talking about here. And I said it a little bit here, with a little bit of whataboutism. They call it whataboutism, pointing out all these past that bear similarity to all these other shootings where a white supremacist killed people. But it really bears similarity to all the times any other race did a hateful thing as this, because it's all the same. Okay, so check this out. They're saying he left racist messages, he's got a manifesto and all that. And again, more whatabouts. This is not to justify what this person did, but to call out the media and all that. I'm not doing like what some of these callers do, like Tony, California, or these other blacks who say, well, see, look at what these white people are doing, and with a sort of halfway justification and downplaying of what black people are doing. Wrong is wrong. Wrong is wrong is wrong. And I want to play you a clip of this councilwoman in Florida who's doing what Tony and these callers are doing. It's amazing, really. But so let me flesh out this point here. And I want to put on display here the mentality of the people involved. Okay, the people who like the FBI, the mayor, the councilwoman, council people involved in this whole thing. I want to show you their mentality here. I want to play you this clip of this woman named Sherry Onks, Jacksonville FBI, and her comments at this press conference. This is going to demonstrate the mentality of the people who are telling us they care. These are the people who are telling us they care and they want to fix the issue. This includes the FBI, Merrick Garland, and everybody I've talked about so far. This woman, this clip, will demonstrate this mentality, okay? And these are the people who care. These are the people who want to fix things. Let me show you �𝒑𝒊𝒂𝒎
On behalf
and her mentality here. I want to comment on this. �𝒑𝒊𝒂𝒎, Jacksonville FBI. Let us watch this clip here.
On behalf of the entire FBI, I want to express my deepest sympathies to the loved ones of those innocent souls that we lost in today's attack. No life should ever be lost to this kind of violence, and our thoughts are with the families tonight after this tragic event. Immediately upon learning about the shooting, FBI agents rushed to the scene to assist our partners at JSO. As we speak, members of our evidence response team and our investigative specialists continue to work alongside JSO to ensure every FBI resource is brought to bear to aid in this investigation. I have committed to Sheriff Waters that our assistance will continue for as long as necessary. In addition, FBI Jacksonville is coordinating with the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Florida. We have opened a federal civil rights investigation, and we will pursue this incident as a hate crime. Hate crimes are always and will always remain a top priority for the FBI because they are not only attack on a victim, they are also meant to threaten and intimidate an entire community. Everyone has a right to feel safe in their communities and in their homes, and I assure you, the FBI will bring every resource we have to bear to bring justice to the families of those innocent lives we lost today. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to Sheriff Waters.
�𝒑𝒊𝒂𝒎, Jacksonville FBI. And here is, by the way, that's Sheriff T.K. Waters. I talked about him as well. He's the, I believe, what do they call him? Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters. That's him. He's about to speak afterwards. So I wanted to demonstrate that mentality. I don't know if you missed it. Right at the beginning, she says,
Incident, FBI.
Hold on, sorry.
On behalf of the entire FBI, I want to express my deepest sympathies
She expresses these deepest sympathies
to the loved ones of those
To the
innocent
loved ones.
souls that we lost in today's attack. No life should ever be lost.
Okay, she says, no life should ever be lost. She's expressing her deepest sympathies, okay? Almost a guilt that the FBI didn't do anything about this, that they should have, and that nobody should be going through this, and that it's their job to deal with it. And so I wanted to point out that mentality of guilt because it's so interesting that that's how this woman is speaking. She's saying like that this shouldn't be happening, and that's the FBI's job to handle it. And that the fact that this happened means the FBI wasn't doing their job. And so she's saying this in an almost guilty way. And it's so interesting because it delineates what the FBI's mentality is. It's number one, they need to eradicate such a thing such as bigotry and hatred and racism. That they need to eradicate such a thing. You're not God. What a weird mentality to think that you can eradicate such a thing. And then should something evil happen, which invariably does, and it's happening more, and you can have your conversations about why certain things are happening and all that. That being said, her guilt is like a mentality of this should never happen. And if it does, it's on the FBI. They're not doing their God work of eradicating all bigotry and racism and hatred and evil thoughts and mean thoughts against each other. And then it's so upside down because haven't we heard this story numerous times? The FBI having prior knowledge of this or that individual, and then that individual ends up doing what they suspected they were going to do, and then they're like, "Oh no, what happened here? Looks like the FBI's just got to go harder," justifying their existence. And then the emotional, right? It's so emotional. Innocent soul is emotional. So, and then of course, the expressing of the top priority of the FBI. The top priority are these hate crimes. Okay, hate crimes are and always and will always remain a top priority for the FBI because they are not only an attack on a victim, they're also meant to threaten and intimidate an entire community, which is so, you know, it's not even like that's not true in a general sense. That an individual was targeting a community and that there may be more, it's not like that's not something to give some attention to. But you just can't trust these people because they'll choose a moment like this. But where's the pledge to give an entire community every resource? Because there's communities in America, there's entire communities elsewhere in the country who you can say are also, there's threats against them. And they're coming from the media, they're coming from Merrick Garland saying white people are the problem. Or you could think of others. And so where's the FBI and all their resources coming in to save everybody else? It just seems a little backwards. It seems a little like it doesn't make sense. And another thing too is the entire community being threatened because of this one person. Well, that's just not true. That was one individual. It's like the people who call in this show, or they call in Jesse's show saying that Jesse's rhetoric is going to end up killing someone one day. And one day there'll be someone who will commit a evil act such as this, and they'll say in their manifesto, it's because of listening to the Bond Network. Even if that were to happen, it's not on us. And that's the same thing that this woman is doing here, Sherry Onks here. An entire community is being threatened by this. She's setting it up because the idea here, and I'm going to demonstrate this even further, is that this is a specific ideology. This specific hate is worse than others, and this specific hate it needs to be dealt with. Okay, and they'll say this about Jesse and stuff. They'll say one day there'll be a shooter or whatever, and they'll say it's because of us, and it's such an evil thing to say. When if you listen to anything we're saying, anything Jesse's saying, there's nobody calling for this horrible, evil act, which I disavow fully. Shouldn't be going around killing people like that. That's just evil. It's pure evil. But I wanted to also demonstrate and call out how the people who are telling us they care about it and they want to fix it actually not only have no clue what's really going on. They don't really care. And they're actually justifying evil hatred in the community. The same hatred that this woman is saying threatened the entire community. The same thing that evil callers on the Bond Network say we're going to cause people to do one day. I want to show you an interesting moment with Ron DeSantis, where the public was booing Ron DeSantis. They blamed him. They're saying his policies caused this shooting. This councilwoman, black woman, goes on stage on microphone and basically justifies the anger of the public. And everything they blame us for, oh, your evil rhetoric, talking about blacks every day, Jesse, you're going to cause a mass shooting. Everything they're blaming the Bond Network for is happening in this clip here. I want to play it for you because they were doing a vigil. They did a vigil for this story, a vigil for the victims in this Jacksonville shooting. Okay? Let me show you what I'm talking about here. You guys following so far? What are you guys in the chat saying? Okay. Because they're blaming Ron DeSantis for the same things they blame us for here. Blaming Ron. Like as if it's our fault that someone out there did something crazy when we're talking about love and forgiveness. Like as if Ron talking about CRT and stuff in the schools caused a mass shooting when Ron isn't calling for killings. That's just evil to blame him for that. Let me show you a moment at this vigil that was held in Florida. Okay. And this woman you're going to hear speaking, her name is Her name is, drum roll please. My apologies. Hold on. She's a councilwoman with a weird name, and that's why I can't remember it. What is it? �𝒂𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 Pittman. Jacksonville Mayor Donna Deegan and Councilwoman �𝒂𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒑, a black woman with an afro. So I'm going to show you her comments right before she's presenting, she's opening up for, what I'm trying to say is that she's just setting up Ron DeSantis, okay? So she's priming the crowd. Introducing is the word I was looking for. She's introducing Ron DeSantis, who's speaking at this vigil after this shooting, okay? You following so far? Let's watch some of this. Let me pull it up over here. This is her, by the way, �𝒂𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒑 Pittman. This is her.
And so broken. But I want to just thank each of you all for being here, for your calls, for your texts. And I don't think I have to explain the occasion, because I think we all know why we're here. But before I get started, I have to give some thank yous, because this event came together in less than 24 hours. So one, I would say thank you for your support, because when I see each of you all, I don't have to see you all every day, but guess what? We pick up where we left off. And I don't care when I call you, you show up. And so today is about showing up for these residents that did not deserve what happened. They didn't deserve this. And with the community that's trying to come back from an economic hardship, I should say, because I'm telling you, we don't get the money that we should get.
Right here, y'all. Okay, if you tuned out, I don't blame you. This is the part I wanted to get to. She's introducing Ron DeSantis. She just gave her, right? She's talking about the moment everybody's come together. This event came together. This vigil came together in 24 hours, blah, blah, blah. Very good. Okay, so she is talking about Ron in this. Okay, let me just play it for you.
I should say, because I'm telling you, we don't get the money that we should get. And so I'm going to tell you today, I don't mind asking. I don't mind asking, because this community has history. It has grandparents that's raising grandchildren. We're in a food desert community. And guess what? This community always get dumped on. And I'm going to tell you, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. But I can say that I know I have a mayor who has an appetite. Y'all will hear what I say. She has an appetite.
So do you.
I have a sheriff. I told him this morning, and I'm going to tell you publicly.
So, before I forget, there's a couple of things I want to comment on. I thought she would get to it a little faster here, but she already said one part here. She said she's already setting it up. She's already setting it up. She's saying, we don't get enough money. You guys know Jacksonville. We don't, or wherever this place is, we don't get money. But, we're going to get it now. I'm not afraid of asking now. We're in a food desert. We don't get treated right. All this problems, which has nothing to do with the shooting, okay? We're in a food desert. You know, fellow black people here in Florida, I'm here fighting for you, and now they're really gonna listen now that we got white racists shooting black people. Now they're really good. Now you see what she's doing, and I'm gonna demonstrate to you a little more of what she's doing here. But black politicians are really good at this, and you guys got to understand what I'm describing here. Black politicians, they're really good at this. They have like their finger on the pulse on their constituents, black constituents, what I'm trying to describe here is they know exactly how to play the black voters' anger and use it for them, for their own gain. Okay, what I'm describing here is, see, she's out here saying, we don't get anything. They treat us like this. We get food deserts, but now we're going to get what we want. When she's the one in charge, right? So why wasn't it fixed this whole time? You seem to be doing well. You're nice and portly. You got some nice diamonds. You got the pearls on. You got the nice pearls on. You got the designer on. Well, I don't know if it's designer, but she's looking nice, looking fed. No food desert for her. But no, now she comes out and she's like, oh, I'm with you guys. You, the people, it's you and us against these people, and we're going to get ours today. Black politicians are so good at that. They know exactly how to play that. Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you guys, but I'm not with you guys. And I'm angry at the same thing you guys are angry about. But hey, but today we're working with them because we're getting what we want, aka money. But today it's about unity. And but by the way, the subtext of this whole unity talk is actually we hate them and we're getting what we want from them. You see what I'm saying here? Are you guys following? They say she's going to say in a moment here, this is a day not about parties. It's about unity or whatever. But what she's saying is we hate them and now we got them on the ropes because it's a racist attack. So I want to play you a little bit more of 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 introducing Ron DeSantis. Okay? Let's play some more of this.
I'm proud of what you did yesterday.
Okay, so right here, she's talking to Sheriff T.K. Waters at this moment. Okay, this moment now she's turned to the sheriff, the same sheriff who called this a racist attack, okay? So, 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 talking to the sheriff.
Publicly. I'm proud of what you did yesterday. Because guess what? You called a spade a spade. We cannot continue to hide behind. We cannot have someone come from another county and shoot up this community. It ain't no black on black crime. It's a hate crime.
Wow. You see? Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Did you hear what she just said? She said she turned to the sheriff. She turned to the same sheriff I just showed you a moment ago. And she said to him, she thanked him because he called a spade in her words. What is she talking about? She's saying she's thanking and congratulating the sheriff for calling it a racist attack. And she said, you're calling a spade, and so she thanks him for that, which is just already wrong. That's not calling a spade. That's just more words to confuse and divide and conquer. It's not calling a spade. It's not clarity here. We're not getting to the root of it. Why that 21-year-old did what he did. What was all that? And many of us already know in a simple words, anger, okay? It can get a little deeper and a little bit even clearer, but that is very clear, much clearer than racism, right? So this woman's evil for that. She's evil for that. And then what did she say? Did you take it in? She said, no more. She said, a person from outside of this community coming in here. Let's play that part again, in fact, because it's important.
This community. It ain't no black on black crime.
Hold up.
It's a hate crime.
I got to back it up.
And shoot up. You called a spade a spade. We cannot continue to hide behind.
We cannot continue to hide behind.
We cannot have someone come from another county and shoot up this community. It ain't no black on black crime. It's a hate crime.
She's trying to conflict. What a weird connection. Who's talking about black on black crime? Who's talking about black? She's saying it ain't we. This is what I mean about black politicians. And they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing with their brainwashing, because the whole thing is about this shooter who came and did this, what they're calling a racist attack. And then what does she say? No, we can't continue to hide behind, it ain't no black on black crime. Wait a second. Are you doing the Tony from California? Where it's like, yeah, what about the white people? What about the white racist attacks? So it ain't no more hiding behind this where you guys get to say what's wrong with the blacks. You guys can't say what's wrong with the blacks, black on black crime, no more of this, because we got racist shooters coming in from other counties and committing hate crimes. Is that what she's saying, y'all? Or am I just, it seems like that's what she's saying. Do you guys see what I'm seeing? It seems like that's what she's saying. It ain't no black on black, it's a hate crime. So no more talk about all this black crime, and you guys saying the blacks are out of control because we got white people from out of county. And then people clapping her. That is evil. That is just pure evil. And she will be doing exactly what they're blaming the Bond Network for, because what she's doing is justifying anger. And I'm not going to say if one day some black commits a crime and murders someone that the blood is on her hands. But if it's so easy to blame the Bond Network for a ideology of hate that'll be violent one day, how is that any different? What she's doing there. So it's not that it's not happening. It's not that it's not evil. It just defies simple logic. Okay? Ron's not killing for killings, for example. That's simple logic. And so it's not that this isn't evil, what this guy did, but it's that we're being manipulated with emotions, lies, and the media, not about making things better, not about fixing things, not about actually getting to the root of it all, not about actually, if there's any criticisms for the cops, not about fixing that. If there's any criticisms for the public, for blacks and all that, not about getting to the root of that. It's a mess, okay? So, yeah, I'm just trying to point that out. We don't need to be manipulated. We're just pawns, okay? He said, she said. Oh, anyways, what else do I have to say about this? You know, it's also showing that, like, no understanding from blacks. Because there's nobody. Tell me where I'm wrong. If you disagree with this next statement, call in 888-775-3773. But I don't believe that there's a single person who went out to kill black people because they are racist against blacks. There's just no way. This 21-year-old didn't get up and say, you know what, I hate blacks, and I'm going to kill them in a natural, logical way. No, nobody thinks like that in a reasonable, natural way. That stuff comes out from somewhere else. It comes from somewhere else. It has a different source. Because people think that that's where the source is. The source is the hatred of that race, and they'll call it racism. And people don't understand that when Jesse or people on the network say no such thing as racism, they think it's such a crazy thing to say. But that's what that phrase means. It means that the source of this action isn't that hatred of. That's all that means. It's the source of this 21 years old, like his behavior, is not a simple hatred of black people. There's nobody who actually operates like that. That comes from a different source, a messed up upbringing, a messed up mentality, a warped mentality due to this or that. It's not just hatred of black people. And so it shows no love in the blacks, because they'll call it racism instead of, wow, isn't it messed up that young white people are growing up in a country that used to be theirs, and now they're told they're racist and they're horrible for things they've never done. This doesn't justify evil and violence like this, but you'll get a little bit closer to the truth. You'll be a little bit more Christian if blacks thought like that. You would actually be a little bit closer to the Christianity they say is in the blacks claimed by the blacks, not shown. If you were Christians, you would understand and be like, wow, it's crazy what this country has come to and what they put white people through and the lies they say about them. And the lies they say about blacks, too, because they're lying to blacks to do all this, to get them all, drum up the attention. For what? Not to get to the truth of it. They're saying over 400 mass shootings. So people are scared, fearful populace, and then they're going to say no more guns because of that. And honestly, we kind of deserve it. A fearful populace, we get what we deserve. You can't have nice things because blacks are out of control. You can't have nice communities, not overly policed, not like oppressive face scanning at every corner. We have to scan every face and see if they're criminal. Well, guess what? That's what's coming because blacks are out of control. And also we can't, and white people fighting for racism, caring about climate change, scared to say the truth. Yeah, we get what we deserve. So kind of long-winded there, was trying to get through my thoughts there, but was just to summarize, I just wanted to demonstrate how the people who say they care and want to fix it they have no clue what the issue is because they're calling it racism. They have this godlike mentality where they think they can eradicate the bigotry in people's hearts. And then you got women FBI trying to do it all. So already bad. They're focusing on, they super headline focus on every little white attack, and we've seen a complete ignoring of every other attack. Waukesha, Wisconsin comes to mind. AAPI hate, where they all blamed white people instead of every video shows black people. You got the public and the council and the leadership in Florida blaming Ron, blaming policies, blaming everything but the hatred that's being justified in America. Okay? You following? So that's kind of what I was thinking about this whole situation here. It says I have a caller here. Do I really? Hold on. My stuff is not showing. Oh, I do have a caller. No way. I didn't realize I had callers. My apologies. 888-775-3773. I see you guys coming in now. What else do I have to say about this real quick? I think that's everything. There's probably more. But anyways, let me get to Kamran out of Los Angeles. How you doing, man?
Hey, buddy.
Appreciate you calling, man. How you been?
I'm well. All is well.
Nice.
I was so sad yesterday. I had to attend church via YouTube.
Oh yeah, I didn't see you at church.
Yeah, and you see Joshua?
I did. He's looking clean with a fresh new cut. These are individuals who come to.
He did have a fresh new cut, huh?
Yep, the chat. I'm talking about
good.
Two guys that come to church on Sundays. If anybody in the chat doesn't know, church on Sundays, you could check it out live on YouTube, rebuildingtheman.com/church. How you been, man? Why'd you miss church?
You know what? Not to get all technical on all of your listeners, but I had my drive shaft center support bearing just was completely done on Saturday night, and
yeah, you need that.
It started making sounds, and my truck was not drivable. It was vibrating, so I had to pull over and on some random street, kind of near Balboa, and it was a whole experience. I had to figure it out the next morning. I figured it out, and I had to take it to the mechanic this morning, and they were so quick. It was cool, man. But it sucked. It sucked. I couldn't make it to church, and I had to ratchet this thing up so that I could just drive just a mile to a place where they could actually tow me. And I needed water and food, and it was a whole thing. So,
well, I'm glad you're working that out. No problem. You were able to catch it online.
Right. And but it was sad. I was so sad. I really wanted to respond to that biblical question.
Oh yeah. How often you
do
throw rocks?
Cast rocks at, or how often do you throw rocks at others? But
Yes.
cast the first stone.
What were
in
you
my
thinking about
opinion.
that?
Well, personally, I was thinking, like, if you're casting the first stone, how often do I do that? I don't. And if I do, I immediately recognize it, you know? And
Right on.
I just try to make up for it immediately.
Nice, man.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, I'm not going to go into a whole discussion about that. I
Yeah,
was
no
calling
problem.
in
That was
because
Church
you were
Sunday.
talking
If you
about
guys want to podcast
racism.
it, rebuildingtheman.com/church. Thanks for that. So what'd you call it about?
The whole topic you're talking about, racism.
Okay, yeah.
Like, I don't understand people who feel that way about others. Like, I don't get it unless, you know, you're stuck in, I don't know, like Satan's mind. And then, but what I'm saying basically is, like, you know, I just walked into a store and this lady, you know, she happened to be black. She helped me out, and she had the same name as my aunt, who was one of my favorite aunts, you know. I mean, not for her to be favored over all my other aunts. Like, I love all my family. Like, I love everybody, you know. And but she had the same name as my aunt.
Okay.
And we had like a cool little discussion. Like, she was like, "Oh, you know, does your aunt like spell her name this way?" And I was like, "Yeah, she does. It's exactly what it is." And so, and you know, I'm just like some half Middle Eastern, half white guy. Like, I don't understand the whole idea of, like, my generation did not grow up with the idea that blacks were different from whites.
Okay.
Or Mexicans were different from Middle Easterns, or Asian people were different from, I don't know where to go with this one, but I guess Native American people. Like, I don't even know. Like, it's so ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. If you hate other people, well, then you got to search within yourself for that reason why you hate other people. Why would you hate anyone else? Unless you know them and they, I don't know, stole from you, came into your house, you know, and even then you shouldn't hate them. You should just forgive them. What do you think about that?
I agree, because let's say that's all true. Let's say you've been just had negative interactions with black people, for example, and it's caused you to act and think of them in a certain way, and you behave differently around them. Let's say all that is true. Hating them doesn't fix anything. It doesn't fix anything.
No,
it doesn't change anything. It doesn't make you. Let's assume here, and I think we've seen this demonstrated. Blacks are out of control, violent crime. Okay, and you watch your back when you're around them, and some might call that judgmental. But let's say you hated them. Well, even in that situation, you would still be putting yourself in danger, because you're still not seeing things quite for you're not seeing things. You're not seeing reality for what it is. So doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what fact is true. Hating will always leave you will just be worse for you. You'll just be worse off no matter what's true, no matter what's happening.
Right, and I'm not trying to say too many racial slurs or anything, but I've had a few of those situations in my family. But some of the best friends that I ever had in my life were black. Mm-hmm. Some of them were Asian. Some of them were I've met all types of people, and I never grew up knowing or being taught that somebody's skin color or ethnicity actually even mattered. It was always just an interesting point of conversation for me. It was always like, "Oh, where are you from? Like, why did your family come to America? Or, how did you end up here? What is your culture like? Like, what kind of food do you eat?" Mm-hmm. And so I've never had that put in me, the racism thing, except from external forces, which I never believed in, those external forces.
Describe what you mean.
What I was going to say is that, just after 9/11, right? I was in the 5th grade during 9/11.
Right.
And I came home that day, and I watched all that brainwashed whatever rhetoric that they put on the television. And I just knew it wasn't true because I'm Middle Eastern, and I didn't want to take down America, right? My dad didn't want to take down America. I mean, he supports CHP. Like, he puts CHP stickers on the back of his truck. And so anyways,
what is that?
Aside, I came home and I found these voicemails.
What is CHP?
And I was listening.
What's CHP?
California Highway Patrol.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. Yeah, he's like
Okay, yeah.
really supports the chips.
Yeah, he does. I mean, I'm like, I don't know. I don't dislike the cops in any way, but they're not always gonna be there to protect you. They might want to give you a ticket. But anyway, that aside, I came home. I'm in the 5th grade, and I'm going through these voicemails, right? Because I was waiting for this voicemail from this girl I was talking to. And I was like really little. I was in the 5th grade, but I still had a girlfriend down the street. So, and she gave me my first Korn CD, and that was so awesome. I'm just going to say this right now. I don't think that Korn is satanic if you listen to the lyrics long enough.
The guy from Korn is a Christian now.
Yeah.
Brian Welch or whatever.
Right. And I don't even think that Jonathan Davis's lyrics are all that satanic. And he came from he plays like the bagpipes on a lot of I think it's him. But that's like that is a very Christian nation, actually, Scotland. So
I wanted to ask you, interesting stuff there.
Anyways,
but I don't want to get lost here. I want to ask you, so 9/11, people are saying Muslims want to take down America. You're thinking that's not true. So how did you see all that back then?
No, so that's what I was going to tell you is that on this voicemail, they said to me, or my family, basically, they said, if your dad doesn't leave the country, he's Iranian, right? First of all, then they're claiming George Bush claims that Afghanistan, Osama bin Laden, is taking responsibility for the terrorism attacks. In the same State of the Nation address, he claims that we're going to war with Iraq. Those are 3 different nations, right?
Right. So, very weird. I agree.
Right. So,
odd for him to say that.
My family.
Gotcha.
What they said to my family was this. They said, if your dad doesn't leave the country,
who said that?
We're going to kill your mom and your sister. Somebody on the voicemail.
Gotcha. So it was like a random person. Committing a hate crime.
They said that if you're, I wouldn't call it a hate crime.
Right, me neither.
Ignorant.
I'm just playing around, but I'm following you. So it was a stranger.
Yeah, but
it wasn't the government. It was like a citizen. It was a stranger who disliked you guys and left a voicemail. Is that what happened?
Right.
Following. Go on.
Right. And so what they said is they're going to kill my mom and my sisters. Well, my mom is the white one. Why are you going to kill my white mom if you want my dad out of the country? If she's grown up her whole life.
Well, they may not have known. They might have thought she was just one of them.
Why wouldn't you kill the son, though? Why wouldn't you kill the son? Like, we don't want you reproducing here. So
okay. So how did you see that, though? How did you see that call? What would you call that?
I heard it, and then my mom came in. She's like, "Oh my God!" She freaked out, like all Satan's daughter. You weren't supposed to hear that, and I was just like, "This is just stupid." Like, people would think this way or feel this way.
Would you call that racism?
Stupid. Would I call it racism? No, I would call it evil. It's just evil within that person's heart.
That caused them to do that.
Racism? No, I don't believe in sexism. I don't believe in racism. I don't believe in feminism. Sorry, ladies. I don't believe in any of that. Like, that is all just a part of Satan's little plan to get you to turn away from each other and divide. And the thing is that my whole life, I've always thought that we should not divide away from each other, that all people should work together and live together. I know that people don't like each other for some reason or another from time to time. There are people who do bad things, and there are people who do good things, and sometimes they each don't like each other. And I think that's on them. But I think that all humans are supposed to work together is ordained by God, that all people should follow the 10 commandments and be good to each other. I mean, that's what the whole Old Testament is about, that people were so out of control that God actually had to send down commandments as how to act, because they were so primitive in their thinking, and we still are. That's the thing, is when we hate and we, violate other space, when we steal, when we kill, when we rob. Rob is not a good word. I already said steal. When we do these things, and when we're lustful, all those things, it affects not only the other person, but it affects us.
True.
And that's the thing, is that it shouldn't have to exist that way. We've already been told the right way to follow, and the whole thing is the golden rule, right? Treat others the way you want to be treated. So if you want someone to steal from you, go ahead, go steal from someone else.
I'm following you, man. I'm following
You know
you,
what
man.
I mean?
So interesting,
but
yeah.
I believe in a different kind of path that most people don't follow. Until I found you guys, I didn't think anyone else even sort of believed in this, but it's just treating other people like you would treat yourself, and then realizing how you treat yourself and trying to treat yourself better. That is literally, you can change the world. And the whole reason that they want you to be divided, and I say they, so you guys can call me conspiracy theorist or whatever, but it's because it's easy to divide and conquer people. And that's how they have control over you. And that's what's happening now in all governments all over the world. It's not just here in the United States. It's everywhere. They're just trying to divide you, make you mad at each other, make you believe that one side or the other is correct. It's all black and white.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was trying to point out, because it's these people, they're saying, we could argue endlessly about, well, it was racism and it is out of control, and it's more out of control with whites or more out of control with blacks. But hold up, who's riling us all up? It's people like John Duke Pitt, or whatever her name is, Pittman. It's people like in the media, all that. They're riling us all up, and here, what are we fighting about? We're not getting to the truth about anything. We're just following.
Right.
We're just pawns for them.
Well, here's the truth, and I'm just going to say it, and you can cut me off or you can whatever. But here's the truth.
What do you mean?
When you
cut
stop
you off?
believing in any of that, if any of you out there, this helps, if you stop believing in any of that, you'll realize that the next person right next to you, whether or not they're white, black, or Hispanic, whatever race, Asian, red-skinned, whatever they call, Native American, whatever, all of that, when you stop believing in all of that, then you realize that the only person who's trying to control you is basically the government. And
I see what you're saying.
And when Jesse asked that question, is it wrong for a black man to celebrate the Confederate flag? Like, no, it's not, because Confederacy wasn't about blacks being put down and used as slaves, and none of that is true. The reality is that it was 50 states, or less than 50 states at the time, but they were divided. They didn't have a centralized one government who was telling them what to do. They all governed themselves. They had their own, what do you call them? They ratified their own constitutions or didn't ratify. In fact, California has never ratified its constitution, but and that actually means a lot if you guys understand the law, that a lot of the laws that they make right now are not true.
Yeah.
In fact, you don't need a driver's license. That's not a real law.
Yeah, well, don't go into that, Kamran. That's just too much. But thank you, man.
I won't go into that.
No. It's just like one after the other. But, man, Kamran, thank you for your comments on racism there. Totally understood there.
Yeah, it's not real, Nick.
Yeah, totally, man.
I don't hate anybody because of their skin color. What is that about?
Totally, man. Appreciate your comments on racism there, man. We are
Sorry,
talking about it.
a little too far.
No. It's just that you're just so good at chaining. You're so good at chaining topics. I don't know how you chained drivers. You were about to chain in the driver's license. I had to just stop you there. But I do appreciate your call, Kamran. Nice commentary on racism there.
I got you, Nick. I love you, man.
Same here, man. Call me
You
again.
good people, bro.
Big time.
God
Call me
bless
again,
you.
Comrade.
God bless you all.
You
All
too,
right.
sir.
Bye.
Right on. Let's keep it going. Arthur, Colorado, you're on the air. Appreciate it.
Nick,
Arthur, make sure you're not on speaker.
done. I was on Bluetooth. Sorry
No
about that.
problem. You're on the air, sir. Thanks for calling me again.
Yeah, man, I agree with
Yeah.
I grew up in Los Angeles area. You know, very diverse school. Most of my friends were Asian, black. I mean, honestly, I'm Mexican, and not a lot of. I didn't really hang around with a lot of Mexicans because they didn't like me because I didn't speak Spanish fluently.
Mm-hmm.
So I was an outcast with my people. I wasn't to go around them. I didn't dress like them. I didn't look like them. So it was I needed to stay away. So what I find interesting is I had friends that were from Europe that were black, and how we had a whole racism thing going on with black people and Mexicans. My black friends that were from Europe, like I kind of found it interesting being in high school that wasn't really a thing in Europe. It seemed to my friend. It was almost like America brought way more attention to it than Europe did.
Yeah, I think so.
And yeah, I just found that really interesting. That
More than Europe,
okay,
you
well,
say?
What was that?
You're saying America brings more attention to the racism thing than Europe?
Yeah, I mean that's what I found at a very early age. I mean,
yeah, what do you mean? Oh, you saw this at an early age, you said?
Yeah, I mean,
so this is a while ago.
This was a while ago. I mean, this was like
because things have kind of heated up since then, even in Europe.
Definitely, it was almost like it was very well known that I mean, I even believed in that, racism at that time in LA, and I was like, yeah, there's a thing where Mexicans are divided by black people, but even Mexicans and Salvadorians was a thing when I was in school, more than Mexicans and black.
Yeah,
people,
because they divide themselves like that.
Exactly, and I just kind of found.
And then even amongst the
interesting.
Mexicans, it's not everyone's like. There's the whiter Mexicans and all that.
Right, and it was like Puerto Ricans got the slide to do a little bit more black things than the Mexicans, which
That's
I found
funny.
interesting. And I was like, wait a minute, why do they get the pass? Because where did the Puerto Rican culture get the pass to say certain words or dress a certain way? Or
it's because they have more. Their hair is closer to black hair.
Right.
While
So,
Mexicans have good hair. Puerto Ricans and Boricuas, all the Boricuas and all the Boricua girls, they have to paste down their little baby hairs and paste, you know what I mean? Paste down. They have to use some glue to paste that hair. Yeah, I think it looks cute sometimes, but they have to do that hair pasty stuff just like the black girls, and so they share a kinship like that, and so N-word passes kind of get passed around a little easier over there with the Boricuas because they have you know what I'm talking about? They have kinked hair like blacks. Meanwhile, the Mexicans and other Hispanics, although they remain Hispanic like the Boricuas, they have good hair.
Yeah, I was so confused about that. I'm like, man, my culture is. I didn't even understand my own people. I mean, I don't know if I would consider them that, but my friend. From the UK, I would ask them, hey, is it like that? You guys have racism there, where you're feeling that whole vibe of no, absolutely not. There's really. I was like, what is the difference between America?
So you have Mexican parents?
I have I have Mexican parents. Both
are they
Spanish,
maybe you can help me understand some of this, which I don't quite understand. Are they white people, but they were just Mexican nationals?
Both of them.
Or are they
spoke Spanish?
They spoke Spanish.
They just decided to Americanize me.
Okay, but so they were born in Mexico as well.
No, they're from here. They're Mexican American. Even my grandparents. So it would be my grandparents' parents that I believe were. I don't even know the full thing. That's just my guess.
What I guess I'm trying to understand here is, are you white or are you Mexican? Because I know
I'm Mexican American.
I guess that's not even a clear question either. That's showing how much that's
good.
showing how little I understand. I guess what I'm asking is because you
I'm
can
as
be
confused as
a
you are.
Mexican national, right? But in Mexico,
Right.
there are, for example, there are like the güeros or whatever, which are like white
Right.
people who they're Mexican because they're Mexican citizens and all that, and they have there's even white people with a lot of history, many generations in Mexico, but if we could do an ancestry test or something, they would be white.
Now that I'm glad.
Or am I wrong about that?
No, I'm glad you mentioned ancestry because I'm so confused and no one had answers in my family or didn't answer it. They were just like, "You're American." My grandma would tell me, "You're Spaniard, you're Spaniard, you're Spaniard, you're Spaniard," and everyone would give her crap for it. I did the whole ancestry thing, and yeah, I'm Spaniard and I'm 2% Jewish. Can you imagine?
Oh, one drop rule.
Yeah, so that whole thing was confusing. I was a very confused person in high school just because of it. And
so you do have, like you said, Spaniard.
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Which is still, I guess, European, huh? Someone told me I was white because of that. I don't really.
Yeah, that's basically.
It's
what I
odd,
got.
but I don't know. I never had that hang up. Maybe you relate, but because of growing up this way, and I'm not saying this is good. I'm not saying that people should be global citizens and immigrants. I'm not saying that's good, but because of that messed up upbringing, where was I this or was I that? I never had this allegiance or identification with something so shallow like my language or my race, my skin color.
Right.
But not denying that those are real, but I do think a connection to it is shallow and it's something to overcome. So I never had the hang up. Interesting, Arthur.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I think.
Would you say it is worse in America? I cut you off. What do you want to say there before you answer my question?
No, that's okay. I guess what was confusing before, now I'm thankful for now because I didn't have those lines of race or anything. In fact, I made friends with all cultures and found Indians interesting with it actually made me a lot more
your Jewish side.
open-minded. Right? It is. Well, I'm sorry, what was your question, Nick?
Well, just your initial question, it's you see it worse in America than anywhere else. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I'd say I think at one time you could say that, especially, for example, people would say, I've heard this before. I've heard this said before by number of people that America, the fight is race. In Canada, the fight is language. The French versus the English. And in other countries, different. But I disagree. I think things have heated up quite a bit in the last few years. It's been heating up for a long time, but really in the past few. And I think let's just say here, for out of ignorance, the West is it's racial.
Yeah,
it's the British empires, it's the colonialism of the past, it's all that.
Yeah.
In my opinion. It's just my opinion.
Does Canada have a race thing going on as well? Like
and
America?
It's heated up.
No,
big time. They've just adopted, which I think all of the West has adopted, and I don't know if it's particularly American, but they've just adopted this prevailing culture. Okay.
That's so
and they gave it their own flavor. They'll fight about the Canadian, the indigenous women. They'll fight about this or that. They'll try and retcon their Canadian history to be civil rightsy and all that, like everybody else. But they've adopted that. And I'm getting reports from friends I've talked to very recently, and they're saying it's not good. It's all the same stuff going on.
If I have to sit down and think, have I ever heard a European with an English accent talk about how hard they have it as a black person? I got to say, no, I've never heard that. And I just find that kind of interesting that I never hear them saying anything like, of the nature of where I came from. And I just find that very, very interesting. And I just got to itch my head and say, throw my hands in the air.
And you grew up over there?
Where's that?
You said where you came from, like England?
Oh, no. I had friends in L.A. that I was going to school in.
Gotcha. That's
it was actually Glendale area.
Right, because you're from here. You're not from
right.
From over there.
Yeah, they came from Europe over here, and I ended up being friends with them, and I just learned so much, and I just kind of, was like,
I don't know,
wow,
but
like,
you might have gotten those people because I talked to a whole bunch of Canadians out here, and these people, these Canadians who are either visiting or they're expats and they live out here, they'll say, no way, no, we don't have anything like that. But
wow,
lying, basically, kind of either lying to themselves or just in their minds they think it's fine to say that because at least we're not America. Do you see what I'm trying to express here? It's just they're just throwing shade at America when they do that, which may be, I'm not saying it's misplaced, but they're downplaying the anger and hatred in Canada when they're doing that. I know I can tell that they're doing that because I've seen it. I've seen the reality myself. I've talked to people who are honest about it. They'll say, no, we don't have anything like that in Canada. But really, that's just their way of throwing shade on America.
That's interesting.
That's just my opinion. But yeah, that, I don't know if you've talked to, what about all I can't really do the accent, but, the black people in England have that accent. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. Actually, I don't deal with that at all. I don't know, something like that.
No, not the posh one, but the dirtier one. It's like 𝒔𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, that rapper. But anyways, right on, Arthur. Right. Interesting call, man. Anything you want to say before we move the wheels here?
No, Nick. Thanks for taking my call, man.
Thank you, man, and call me again.
God bless.
You too, sir. So what a mess. What a mess. If there's anything that you can take from what I'm trying to say here with the shooting story, is that people that are pretending like they know the issue is there. I don't think they know, and I don't think they really care. And we shouldn't be going along with them. If you don't agree with me on my take on racism and whites and blacks and how it's kind of evil and one-sided justice and the media and everything against whites, maybe you disagree with all that. But can't we agree that these people don't care? Okay? These politicians, the media, why are we going along with them? How about we have the conversation and let's stay out of their mess, huh? Anyways, so what's next here? I want to talk a little bit of Trump here. There's not much to say here or report besides I heard today on the Hake Report that Trump he put out like a letter or a statement. Interesting. But that's going on with Trump, the Georgia case and all that. They're trying to put him in jail. Anyways, it's a mess. But already, I'm just commenting on this headline here. It's starting. Attorney sues Trump, claims he is constitutionally ineligible for presidency. It begins. Attorney Lawrence Kaplan argues that the 14th Amendment, are you talking about the amendment that gave me my citizenship? Prevents Trump from holding office again. That settles it. No more 14th Amendment. I've already been saying this, but this is further proof that the 14th Amendment must be removed. I believe that's the birthright one, no? 14th Amendment, birthright citizenship. Yeah. So not only is the 14th Amendment letting in all these anchor babies and making them citizens, this attorney is saying the 14th Amendment should prevent Trump from holding office again as someone who violated his oath to uphold the Constitution. How dare they? I mean, it's all so evil. But just wanted to present you the headline. That kind of language, that talk is already going around, despite all the reports we're getting that this Fani Willis has been doing this same and is indicting Trump for the exact same things that she did. She had the exact same she had similar questions. People have questions. People just have questions about elections and all that. She apparently had similar questions. So if you believe all these reports, what the heck is all up with that? But on Trump, I had an interesting call on Friday with Zeus. Is Zeus in the chat? Are you in the chat, sir? Zeus I was talking with Zeus. Oh, he is in the chat. I think he's in the chat. Zeus, I appreciated your call on Friday. We were talking Trump, talking Vivek Ramaswamy, and it was interesting. There's plenty I agreed with him on. I made the final point, though, that it's a bit of a fantasy to think that Vivek Ramaswamy could be any sort of replacement to Trump. Let's say in some future there is no Trump on the ticket due to this or that reason. I think Zeus was basically saying Vivek's not a bad guy and that we should consider it. And so I just ultimately made, although I didn't disagree with everything he was saying, I ultimately said, if Trump is not on that ticket, we got lied to, and there's nothing about, it's a bit of a fantasy to think, well, we got a good plan B with Vivek. No, it's all a big farce. They lied to us. It would have been fraud that Trump is not even on the ticket. That being said, though, Zeus, there's one thing I wanted to kind of point out. I don't know if I made this clear. There's something about your energy that I agree with. Despite it being a fantastical, can we agree on something here? Like, let's say Trump doesn't become president 2024. Life goes on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, maybe America doesn't go on, but our lives go on. Forgiveness is real, right? The kingdom of heaven is still real. You know what I mean? Like, it's not over. So I got to say, I think I agree. I don't know if I'm describing your mentality fully because we didn't get to talk about it, Zeus. But if you're listening to me now, if that's your spirit, your energy was that, well, it doesn't mean it's over, I agree with you because, you know what I'm talking about? Life is still going. Nick's smiling because he likes Vivek. Carver, man, you've been on me with that one. Carver is sure that I flipped on Trump and going full Vivek. Is he totally getting me? Is Carver in the chat got my number? Anyways, America won't go on without Trump. Come on, Nick. Yeah, even that might be too. Hey, look. I'm just saying it's not looking good. But, you know, America might go on for a little while without Trump. And then the effects of a no Trump 2024 America will finally succumb to it eventually. But you're right, Kevin Howe in the chat. Kevin Howe saying America won't go on without Trump? ? Come on, Nick. I agree with you, man. It'll go on for a while. It'll go on with like a couple of flats and a backfiring engine for a while. I agree, Kevin. They'll be on America without Trump for a little while. I got let me see here. Let's do this. That's what I want to say about Trump. What else did I want to say? Because I was going to segue into Tim Scott. You know Tim Scott, Rhino. This 2024 presidential candidate, Tim Scott. He's a conservative. He's a Republican, really a rhino. Well, he's apparently super tough. He's coming out super tough all of a sudden. So are a bunch of other of these presidential candidates for the Republican ticket. They're suddenly tough about certain topics here. In this particular situation is the border, okay? The border, the southern border, illegal immigrants. You know a little bit of this. Well, Tim Scott says he's going to dismantle the cartels. Let's watch a little bit of this campaign, little clip of this campaign ad here. It's Tim Scott, who you know wants to be president. He wants to be your president. Let's watch a little bit of his campaign ad here. Okay, hold on. This website makes it hard for me to show you stuff. They love making it difficult. Okay, Daily Mail, I'm playing ball. Let's watch Tim Scott's his campaign ad.
Tim is a strong conservative.
We will back the blue, secure our streets.
I think Democrats are scared of him.
I will be the president that finishes the wall. Conservatism with a backbone.
When I am president, the drug cartels will cease to exist.
Biden does not stand a chance against Tim.
They're attacking our American values.
Not on my watch.
Trust in the Mission PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Did you feel the strength out of that one, or were we all left a little deflated, a little wanting there? I swear, cuts. I'm here for you, America. Cuts to some woman. Yeah, no, he's strong. Yeah, he's a strong guy. not on my watch. I'm telling you, Democrats are scared of him. I don't know, not really lighting me up here, Tim Scott. But check this out, because this is how I saw it. You guys might have seen it as silly and weak and all that. I saw it too, but let me paint it a little different, a little bit more sinister. I saw it a little bit more sinister than that. I saw like a like lightning crack behind Tim Scott as he kicks his head back in laughter. Let me paint it to you like this. So he's standing in front of the border wall and he says, I'll be the one to finish it. And then he says he's going to get rid of the cartels. Okay, hold on. This is why I saw it as a little bit more sinister. Because if you remember, Trump started the wall. Big thing, right? After years of fighting and it's like this or that, we're going to fix immigration and illegal immigration. Trump came around and said, nobody actually, he called it out. He called out the whole situation. Nobody actually wants to fix it. I'll build a wall. Just put a wall. And everybody's like, yeah, duh. And of course, he became president in 2016 for other reasons as well. But that is emblematic of Trump's whole mishtuka. He's against the establishment, the do-nothing establishment. He's here to actually make something happen. Hey, let's go with a wall. That'll get things done. So what happens? Republicans, Democrats fight him endlessly on it because it's actually going to do something. That's why. The gravy train's over, okay? No more this or that program or this or that initiative that's going to require taxpayer money, but we're going to see a downtick in immigration. I promise you that. Vote for me. No. Gravy train's over. Put the wall. Maybe you're unsure of what I'm describing, but what I'm describing is this mentality of the government. You know, it's not to fix any problem, but just to keep the problem stable, to keep the money rolling in. Think, for example, homelessness. No. Don't actually fix the problem. Just keep it stable so that we can keep the money rolling in for the programs. And hey, we're going to be out there in the initiative programs and the outreach programs, and we're going to fix the issue. You following? Okay. Trump comes in, gravy train's over. Let's build a wall. Rhinos and the establishment fight him endlessly, and the wall doesn't get finished. In fact, they weld it open recently, and they just let everybody in now. And they say, well, we got to do it because it's for the environment and to let water through. Okay, that's important. Meanwhile, crazy, more than ever. And it's already been crazy. Illegals are pouring in. Okay. Then Tim Scott comes down and says, I'll be your president. And he's got a big old label that says Rhino. There's like a big sign behind him that's just flashing, Rhino, Rhino, Rhino. Why? Because he'll like counter signal Trump. He'll give play to the racism thing and America's racist past. And so we realize he's not really, for America. He's a Republican and an American and a patriot all the way up until his blackness. That's where it ends. I'm a patriot, but don't you forget it, I'm still black. That's where it ends. That's where the buck stops. Okay. So Tim Scott comes down. Rhino is flashing behind him, and he says, hey, America, you know that wall that didn't get finished because we did that? Well, I here hold in my hands the power to finish it. That's why you will vote for me. Crack of lightning behind him. Because I was the one that stopped it. And so I have the power to finish it. I will finish the job, and you know it because I was the one that stopped it. And it's like, in my mind, I'm seeing the presidential candidates that are coming out against Trump. And of course, Trump is like super, super based, right? He wants to stop immigration, all that. He wants to do all the right things. And so the Rhino candidates are now picking and choosing the like really big points like the cartel, immigration, justice system. And they're saying, oh, no, don't pick Trump. Pick me because we'll really, 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 really finally do it this time. Now that they're being threatened. I don't know if you guys see it the way I see it, but that's how I saw it. A little more sinister than he presented it there. And it's crazy just how it's gotten. 100,000 people from the southern border flood the 5 boroughs in New York City. And now you got protesters and people mad in New York. They're not taking it. Anger at anti-migrant march as counter-protester tries to burn flag. And I don't see anybody who really wants to fix it. None of these people do. Here's the moment I'm talking about. Daily Mail. You got migrant protests. 100,000 people. Imagine that. We're in August. Hold up. Anyways, Daily Mail loves to make things difficult. We don't need to show it anyways. So where were we? Let's move on here. Let's take some calls here. We're going to do Zeus. What's up, Zeus? Florida, you're on the air. Thanks for your call.
What's going on, Nick? How are you?
I'm just fine, man. Thanks for your call.
So I wanted to talk about, I guess it was more about like your first, I think it was the first story with the shooting.
Yes.
And how it's just evil and anger. And I have like an example because I was listening while I was doing some work. And like essentially I have like a side job where I cut grass with this one guy. And I'm having car problems myself, just like your first caller.
Mm-hmm.
And I ordered a part on Thursday, and it didn't come over on the weekend, right? And I didn't want to drive my car anymore because it was overheating and all this. So I sent the guy a message.
Just drive
yesterday,
really
"Hey,
fast.
man, what's wrong with the car?"
I said, just drive when it's overheating like that. Just drive really fast.
Well, it's like a 30-mile drive, and what I would do is pull over and wait, but it kept overheating and stuff, and like I don't know. But I sent this guy a message, and he got tipped. And he essentially just told me off and blocked me. And I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. And then today he was texting me like just now.
You got ticked that you weren't going to show up to the painting job. I mean, the grass cutting job.
Yeah, he got ticked.
Okay.
And so he sent me a bunch of messages, and he's like, "You're a lazy N-word, and you'll never be anything in life." And he just was pissed, dude. And I'm like, why is he so mad? Like, doesn't he understand? Like, my car's messed up and all this stuff. And it just, I don't know. The thing I thought of is it's just funny because this guy, you know, he has a business for 20 years. Mm-hmm. He has a nice house. He has a wife. He has 3 kids. He has all this stuff, and he's still angry and he still has hatred. And it reminds me, I think it's a Bible verse where it's like you could have, what does it profit a man to have everything in the world but to lose his own soul? Like this guy has a lot of stuff. He has more than me, but he's not happy. He's angry. And like he's so ticked to the point where he's sitting here just messaging me. Like he has like messages and messages calling me names, this and that. And I didn't really respond. I only responded once. I just told him, hey, man, I forgive you for you know not what you do, and I wish you well. And he got even more ticked, and he's just like, F you, you're a sissy, trying to act like Jesus. And the funniest part...
Yeah, why'd you respond like that?
Huh?
The funniest part is what? I cut you off. Go ahead.
The funniest part is that he used to be like a deacon, and he would tell me this, that he used to preach like once or twice a month, this and that. And it's just, I don't know. I just think it's funny because I think it does go back to anger. And that stuff, and I think that is really the evil. And I don't know too much about the Florida shooting guy, but obviously that guy had anger towards a certain people and caused them to be evil and do something evil, and that's really all it is. It isn't racism; it's just evil. And like
yeah, you don't just become angry at black people. You know what I mean? You don't just become angry at black people. Like that just doesn't just. Yeah. It's like born out of a warped, messed up source inside of you. Whether it's wrong teaching or whether it's correct assessment of the blacks, but then you turn that into hate. You know what? Whatever it is, it doesn't come from just I hate black people. No, it's a warped mind.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I still haven't got the part in the mail yet. And then I was looking at the car yesterday, and I think it's leaking oil in a certain like area, which isn't a good sign, right?
No.
And so like I have all this stuff, and then I also have rent due at the end of the week, and I have all these things, but it's like. I don't know. At least I don't have the anger and hatred this guy has. This guy has a company. And you know, you're talking about the money he makes, and he's still not happy. So, I mean, in reality, I don't know. I think it's better to just not have anger or hate because in the end, look what it causes you to do. And, like, don't get me wrong, like, obviously, like, the thoughts or the demons keep whispering in my ear, all this stuff, all this mess because, you know, obviously it's not looking good. But I'm just doing me. I'm just still happy and working on projects.
He's wrong for that if he got mad.
Dude, he got ticked. His messages were hilarious. And it's funny, too, I just laughed. Like, he started calling me the N-word. I'm like...
And so, I mean, you had car troubles, and, You know, so you were unable to show up. And so he got mad at that. I mean, when you have car troubles like that, I mean, what can you do?
It was like a 30-mile drive, too. It's not like it's down the road.
Gotcha.
And so, I don't know. It's not a big deal.
So putting that aside, okay, so let's agree anger is wrong. If we reacted like that, I have no reason not to believe you, then he's wrong for that. And we agree. So he's wrong for that, and overreacting will bring hell on your life, and that's a good lesson, right? But let's put that aside for a second. Are you lazy?
Am I lazy? No.
Oh, okay. Because that's what he was calling you, right? A lazy N-word? Are you a lazy N-word?
Yeah, well, it's funny because essentially what he says is he just, people don't show up to work and stuff. So we had this conversation last week. Like he'll tell someone to be there at a certain time. And the funny thing is, like, my car was overheating last week, and I still made it on time. And I'm not lazy.
How come you didn't fix it last week? It's been overheating for this long.
It's been overheating for a while. But the thing about it...
Oh, it's been overheating even longer than a week?
Oh, yeah, it's been overheating for like a month.
So you kind of are a lazy N-word for not fixing your car.
I mean, it's not that I'm lazy for not fixing it. I just didn't know where the leak was.
I understand.
I couldn't figure it out. And so I finally did figure out it's a water pump, but maybe
I gotcha.
I don't feel like I am. But,
no, I understand
you. Know,
I'm just messing with you a little bit.
That's cool,
but
man.
I like listening to like, let's call them, you know, let's say you call them an enemy or someone who's mad at you or something. I like opening up my ears and having an open mind, because usually your enemies and people mad at you, they may exaggerate and may not really be seeing you correctly out of their anger, but they'll be more willing to tell you something that other people won't tell you about yourself.
You know what?
And I'm not saying you are a lazy N-word, but how come you didn't fix your car? So you can make it to work.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to buy the parts and stuff. But
yeah, fair enough. I
have found that the people who, like, when they angry and they say stuff at you, they're more projecting stuff about themselves. So maybe
that too.
Maybe he's just mad that he has to do more of the work. But it's his business.
That too.
You know what I mean? So I mean,
that happens too. That's why that's why it's best not to. Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. That happens too. People project. That's why I keep an open mind, because people, let's say an enemy is yelling at me. If I stay aware and keep an open mind, I'll know when they're lying about me, but I also know when they're saying the truth about me. And so I like that. I like to keep an open, what's it called? Like open ear, open mind when I have an enemy criticizing me, because in my heart, I'll know, well, they're not exactly right about that. But then other stuff will be like, dang, he might be right about that. He might be exaggerating, but it might be true. So I like listening.
In the end, too, though, if you know yourself, nothing somebody can say to you will affect you.
True.
Like, you could call me all these names. If I know myself, I know I'm not that. It's
Bingo.
not going to affect me. It's not going to be like... So at the end of the day...
100%.
I mean, it's really... I don't know. To me, it's just a lesson.
So true, man.
To me, I look at it as just a test. That's all it is. Another test to overcome, and...
Big time agrees, Zeus, man. Hey, can I ask you something else?
Yeah, go ahead.
How come you said to him... how come you talked to him? How come you responded to him like Jesus? I kind of like it though. I don't dislike it because it got him riled up, and I'm kind of mischievous, and I find it funny. But I mean, what compelled you to respond in that way? You said, what did you say to him?
I just told him I forgive you because you know not what you do, and I wish you well. And here's the reason. So like I've worked with him for like here and there, right? He'd only call me sometimes,
right?
And whenever we worked together, we worked well or whatever. And so one time he invited me to chill at his house and swim and hang out and talk, right?
Right.
And then we started talking about God, and he started talking about how Jesus is God. And I was like, no, he's not God, dude. He's the Son of God. And I told him, in reality, whether Jesus is real or not is not really important. What's the most important part is his message, to forgive people, because everybody makes mistakes. We're all human beings. And that's the most important part. You can sit here and think, oh, Jesus is God, but it doesn't matter.
Wait, that's Jesus' message?
I think it is. Isn't it to forgive?
Yeah, but not. I don't think. I mean, I don't want to sit here like.
Love?
Yeah, exactly. But you said to forgive people's because everybody makes mistakes and we're all human beings. And that sounds just. I'm being nitpicky right now when I don't need to be. You know, but we can talk.
Maybe I'm wrong.
We can talk frankly, Zeus. We're friends here. I could be nitpicky here, but it sounds a little like liberal. You know what I mean? Like, we're all human. Like Jesus, to me, his message was like, you need to be born again. Like your heart needs to change, and that it's not about all this stuff that you thought it was, all this stuff you've been taught that you thought the kingdom of heaven was, this outward praying, this outward this outward that. I thought, to me, that's what Jesus' message was. But you're not wrong, right? It is to forgive, and people make mistakes. It just sounded liberal. I'm not being nitpicky.
I could be wrong. It could be wrong, and I want to identify
I
myself.
know it doesn't
as
sound
liberal,
wrong, I guess, but we're off the path here. What were you saying? What were you getting at?
I just always thought that was the main point, is like forgiveness.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at
I
all.
mean, I could be wrong. I'm not
It
a
is
deacon,
forgiveness.
So.
Oh yeah, you're not a deacon like your friend, like your boss there.
I'm not a deacon, so I don't know anything. But hey,
did you
also,
know that he was going to
call
get
you-
mad when you said, before you said, you know not what you do?
I knew he was going to get mad just because he like.
And
working
why
with him,
did you
gets
know
mad
he was
about-
going to get mad?
Because he gets mad about everything. One time, me and this guy, the other guy were working with him, and the other guy was 3 minutes late. And what we do is we meet at his place, and we all drive in his truck, right? I'm not even kidding you, 3 minutes late, and he's like, F this guy. He's always late. And he drove off, and the guy was down, like he was literally down a minute away. We saw him as we were leaving his yard, and instead of just stopping, letting the guy get in the truck, he made him drive to the first spot.
Wow.
And he was just pissed at him. And
Sounds like from what you're telling me, he does have like some problem with anger.
Dude, he has so much anger, and it has to do with his wife. And I tried to explain to him the whole
But
thing.
this is what I mean. Now you're trying to explain to him about his wife, and you're telling him all this stuff when you already know that you already know he's that kind of Christian, and he doesn't want to hear it. He thinks Jesus is God, and you're trying to tell him about his wife, and you're trying to tell him you know not what you do. I mean, can you see how you kind of play a part in it too?
We didn't have all this conversation in one day. It's over a few weeks.
Fair enough.
And essentially, it's from what he told me, because I just stay quiet in the truck, and then he'll tell me about what she does.
Okay.
And in fact, that day he was pissed off
yeah,
because,
he's like telling you his problems. You're his shoulder or whatever.
Yeah, he tells me everything. But the funniest thing is that day, his wife, like, he wakes up like at 4 or 5, and she got up at 3, and she was just making noises trying to wake him up and like anger him. And I explained to him that's why people who have anger, they want to ruin other people's day, because it makes them, like what Jesse said. I told him that, and the other guy was all mad. He's like, I'm not going to work with this. I don't want to work with this guy. He always acts like this. And
he's talking about you.
The other worker was telling me I don't want to work with the boss because.
Gotcha.
And
So he's like, he's got like major. I'm following you, man. Well,
anger issues like crazy.
Interesting situation there. I think. I mean, what do you conclude? I mean, even in this, I just think that in all situations, there's a little bit we can always look at ourselves. And as much as that guy may have problems with anger, and we both know this, that's wrong. You're wrong. You're just going to bring hell to your life. We sometimes act in ways that we don't need to. I'm not saying you did or didn't, but you're reminding me when you say stuff like, I told him that he knows not what he does. You're reminding me of people who like, make things worse, not necessarily, because you know how he's going to act, and you know what you're saying there. You're basically like coming at him like you're Jesus. And I'm not saying, and we both agree, Jesus is not God, and you're his brother, and you can be like him. I'm on the same page with you, bro. But you know what I mean? Well, you also have to have like an understanding of like how people act normally, and not everybody is bonded up. You know what I mean? And you gotta have like a common sense mentality with people. You can't just go around telling them, yeah, you did that because your wife and you hate her and you hate your mom and also you know not what you do, and I'm coming at you like I'm Jesus.
Well, I didn't tell him stuff about his wife today.
Fair
I
enough.
told him that we'd work together.
Yeah, I don't know the story either, so I'm just hearing it too.
Yeah,
go on.
This is him telling me stuff and me telling him stuff, and the last thing I told him was that, and the reason he doesn't know what he's doing is because he's angry. Right now he's motivated by his anger, and that's why he's saying all this dumb stuff. And he's trying to bring me down to his level and get me angry. And I'm not angry.
Right on.
Care. I mean,
yeah, you shouldn't go down there either. Fair enough, man.
To me, the thing to look at for myself is like obviously there's a lot of stuff going on. I got my car, got rent, all this stuff, and that wasn't like my job. That was like a side job, right? And I only went when he called me to help him when he needed it, because when there was another worker that he thought was a better worker, he'd have him go in, chase him off, and then I'd come in when that guy didn't want to show up. So, I mean, a lot of it, to me, it's just, I'm currently going through a lot of stuff, right? And I could let the stress get to me. I could let angry people get to me. But rather than do that, just live in the moment, work on stuff, and don't stress about tomorrow. And then the funniest thing, I guess there's a hurricane headed to Florida, so.
Boom.
It's headed towards the area I'm in. It's funny because I live in an RV park, and they sent like a phone call today that in case people have to be evacuated, you can't stay in the park and you leave all this stuff.
So wait, they asked you to evacuate?
I don't know if we have to.
They asked about. They told you to.
They told us that we have to evacuate. That everybody needs to leave the park. That nobody can stay.
Is everybody leaving?
I don't know. I haven't checked. I'm not leaving.
Maybe check.
I'm chilling. I'm not chill.
Right on.
Hey,
Stay chill inside. That way you'll know. Stay chill within. That way you'll know what to do should you need to do anything. But don't just have in your mind, I'm not moving. I'm not leaving. I'm not moving. Don't just make that decision.
I would go and evacuate, but I'm kind of lazy, so I think I'm just going to sit here and do it.
Bro.
Hey,
I hope to hear from you again. So,
Yeah, if you don't, it's not because something happened to me. It's because I'm too lazy to call. But hey, I had a question. Real quick.
Hake might be saying that's old school. I don't know if he's commenting on your desire to stay, but it does sound. Hey, I'm not saying it's wrong. Go on. I cut you off.
I was going to ask you because right before I called you, you mentioned
last thing
the
here.
call Friday, and you're something about my mentality. You're wondering or something.
You might have heard me. You might have heard me mention you earlier today, but we spoke on Friday about Trump and Vivek Ramaswamy, and we had a nice conversation, man. And I appreciate your call. There was agreements, disagreements, all sorts of things. Very cool. One thing I didn't say though on Friday was that, and tell me if I'm wrong here. It sounded like you had a sort of like, even if there's no Trump, there's no reason to give up mentality.
No, I wouldn't even say that was it. I was just saying that.
Well, I
was saying is not to judge a person because of their skin color or because of their religion. At the end of the day, it's good versus evil. And if he, and I don't know if he's good. I don't know him. All I see is what he projects, right? Okay. But if he's a good person, he's on my same team because I'm a good person, right? And like that guy that cussed me out, he's a deacon, and some would think he's a good guy because he's a Christian, he's a deacon. That's not the situation. Judge a person on their actions and I don't know, how they carry themselves, I guess, or their character.
Well, thank you for that,
because
Zeus.
In the end, Vivek, he says a lot of good stuff. He reminds me of Trump a little bit. Like I said, I'm Trump all day. That's it. I ain't voting for Vivek. I'm just saying.
No, I'm following you.
I don't consider him a bad guy just because he's a Hindu.
And if you guys want to check out that conversation, we had it on Friday on my channel. Much appreciated, Zeus. Last thing you want to say before we move the wheels?
Force One.
Trump Force One.
I just want to say one more thing. Yeah, Trump Force One. One more thing on Vivek. So I was listening to a thing he talked about earlier, and again, it goes to we don't know if he's good or not, right? Mm-hmm. But in this interview, he seemed like he's a Zionist. So I mean, that's a thing to me that is a red flag. So
that means what? What does that mean? That means like he cares about Israel first before America?
Yeah. And to me, how can you care about any country except America? America first. And the thing is, Trump was a Zionist too, so I mean, there's no winning there. But to me, I just think...
Why do you say that?
I mean, because that's what I heard anyway, and he's done.
You can't go with just what you hear, man. We just had a whole conversation about staying in reality.
That's what I've heard in like people analyzing it, and then it has to do with like the whole the things he did over there. I think he
like what?
I think let me see. I might have this wrong, but he like
talking about the embassy thing or whatever.
That and something didn't he like?
But that's nothing.
Jerusalem or something.
That's nothing. That's just like lip service, and he got paid for that. Like he brought in money doing that. Like I don't see anything Zionist about it. It's just like show. You know what I mean? Like show. For example, Ron DeSantis going to Israel and saying he's going to fight against anti-Semitism, going to another country to tell them and promise them he's going to fight for anti-Semitism in this country. That's sounding a little bit closer to that. But, it's kind of, you could just see that.
Trump did the same thing too.
But like not make laws.
And the thing is too.
Ron DeSantis wants to make laws and I think he passed them. For Trump to just go somewhere and say, hey, I'll fight for the gay people. Hey, no, look, I don't like anti-Semitism. That's one thing. Hey, Jerusalem, let's put their embassy where you want it. I'm with y'all. That's one thing. But then there's another to say, to actually, put them ahead. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think he did something where he named something the capital or something too. I don't know. I heard a certain person with the name of Fuentes talking about it, and I was like, huh. And even he said it, so I don't know.
I mean,
Even he.
I'm just saying.
Be an individual, Zeus. You're just as smart as him. But I like Nick Fuentes. He's a good guy.
I would be an individual, but I'm too lazy, Nick.
Fair enough, man. I appreciate your call, Zeus. Call me again.
Definitely. Have a good one.
Right on, man. Hey, that was fun. Let's keep it rolling. Scott, Arizona, on the air, sir.
Howdy, Nick. How you doing today?
I'm just fine, Scott. Appreciate your call. Good to hear from you.
All right. Hey, I called you like a month or two ago. I think it was after that, like New York. Who was it? The social media guy that like said, "Hey, free PS5s." And
Yeah. Kai Cenat or Kai Cenat, whatever.
And my comment back then was like, it was right after I watched this like gang documentary about how in Hawaii they got the Pyrus, and I was just
They have the Hawaii Bloods.
The
Hawaii Pyru Bloods in the chat if you don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, and how like there's so many gangs and that they're giant organizations nowadays, and I was saying how basically I see all of the youth being turned into a gang, and especially with like the stories over the weekend and what's coming out, all these teen takeovers happening. Do you see what I'm saying?
I think I kind of do.
How like essentially it's this education system we got going, how the kids are like confused and removed, and then their teachers can tell them anything and they believe it over their parents.
That's for sure. And you know what's,
You know what I'm saying?
I don't want to cut you off, but to comment on what you're saying, what I see is it seems like, doesn't matter what race now, but the youth, the younger people and Zoomers who are now older now and millennials as well, more like the younger millennials, they're all like black now. I don't know if you noticed, but black culture and black hip hop culture, they all have some percentage blackified. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
No matter who it is, no matter
absolutely.
who it is, after a certain age, doesn't matter what race, group, what they identify as, punk, rock, rap, whatever.
Yep.
They all a little bit black. They all say the slang. Are you following me? They'll say Riz. They'll say Riz, or they'll say the words. But all the slang that they're using, whatever amount they're using, even little or a lot, it's all what? Black influenced. Black or that prevailing black culture. I don't know if you can call it black. It's kind of like it might be a little bit what's it called? Simulated at this point. They call it black, but it's not. Yeah. It's kind of modern.
Well, dude, Snoop Dogg doing Skechers commercials, right?
Exactly.
Like
it's kind of modern corporate black
any way,
culture,
shape, or form. Exactly, and it's really interesting because
that includes. I'm so sorry, but that includes what I wanted to finish though is that includes their way they interact with each other. It's almost like they operate on gang and prison rules. You said this about me, now I got to check you in public. And here's my group, and we got to beat you up in public because you got to do that. That's how you check people. And it's like gang and prison rules in the schools and stuff.
Exactly.
Sorry, go on.
It's taking over. No, you're totally right. And it is the religion of hate.
Yeah,
it is taking
well said.
over. It is. And to check Zeus, I mean, like, if you knew the guy was going to reply and be mad when you try and take the high road, maybe you were also doing a little instigating, you know what I mean? Because it's all about having your say and fighting your battles and not having any room for God. You know?
Yeah.
It is this mentality that people have nowadays. And I'm not saying Zeus has it. I'm
right, I'm following you.
Pulling it in. But it's so interesting to watch because I'm at the point where I've been against the public education system for a long time. I begged my parents to send me to a private school, and they refused to. I hated public school because it was dumb, right? One of my good friends in high school never did one assignment at all. And every year for the last 2 weeks, the teachers would sit him at their desk with a little workbook and say, hey, if you get all the worksheets done, you'll pass with a C. And then he wouldn't do it for the first week. And the second week, they'd be like, oh my gosh, you haven't done any of this? Well, here's the answers. And they'd give him the answer book and he'd just copy the answer book. And he did this all 4 years and graduated.
Wow.
Because our education system is so terrible. And it's like those that can't teach But those that can't teach public school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Big time.
And look at the people that are being drawn in. Even the idea of wanting to teach another person is evil within us, making us think that we're God.
Yeah.
Right? And look at the people that are now drawn into education. They no longer want to help these kids become the best versions of themselves. They want to force their life choices, to be a little PC. They want to force their lifestyles and life choices into these children as a normalization, and try and make the kids adopt all of their own mental problems.
Wow.
You know?
Absolutely. What were we supposed? Oh, please go on, please.
Oh no, we're losing this country. Like, it's gone because our youth are so angry that there's no way that we're going to be able to save the country. Even if we have Trump come back and fix things, you can't fix things and then the next generation come over and put all the bad ideas back into place. You know?
Right.
And you can't just arrest the future. You can't just arrest everyone who is the future.
Yep.
And we've allowed the standards in America to slip so far. So few people choose to be great by following God, right?
Mm-hmm.
So few people choose to be led by God or allow themselves to be led by God, that we no longer have a system that produces anything that has any value.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how many people have skills? Everyone nowadays is the chattel
I have Bitcoin,
that they
though.
complain about. yeah, Bitcoin. But like, think about it, right? Like, how many people could find water, could grow their own food, can make their own clothes, can build their own shelter, right? Those are the most essential needs to being a human being. But even the people that live in rural areas don't have those because our technology has advanced so much.
Yeah. Yeah,
Don't have those skills.
totally, yeah. Makes a
Right?
lot of sense, man. And what you're saying about, please go ahead.
Go ahead.
What you're saying
Oh, no,
about
go ahead.
it's what you're saying about the people is true. It's our own neighbors who think like this. You can't arrest them, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's our neighbors who think these ways. So, I mean, obviously Trump has to go in and then rip up, you know, make himself emperor.
Yeah, well, in a big, we're literally at the point of society where we have to have a leader, a false leader, right? Because the only real leader is God, right? So we have to have a false leader step in and take complete control.
It's like what we
and that's
deserve.
Why, yeah, absolutely, it's what we deserve, because we've allowed ourselves to be pathetic, right? We've allowed ourselves to follow Satan so much to where we've now normalized violence, we've normalized drug use, we've normalized hatred, anger, murder.
What you're saying is so important too,
more
because
normal than not.
what you're saying is important to the topics that are at hand now, like, for example, gun control and these topics. What you're saying is important because those things, like the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, even all these things, they're not just like a goodie bag. Those are there for a moral people. You know what I mean? And so when they say this is supposed to be, a country of free men, well, now it's like tyrants, and now we can't have nice things. For example, we can't have this Second Amendment because those are nice things for a moral populace. You know what I mean? Now, let's say tomorrow, let's have they say an armed populace is a safe one. If we armed everyone tomorrow, I'm not so sure that would happen. You know what I mean? Because we have such immorality. It's really only for our moral people.
Yeah, it might end up safer in the long run.
In the long run, after some pain, I agree.
A lot more dangerous immediately.
Immediately, right, exactly. And so it fits to everything you're saying right here. Go on.
Well, and it comes to the idea of, like, we essentially have a people that have given up on themselves.
Yeah.
Because what does it mean to be pro-gun control? Well, that actually means you yourself believe that you are not capable of handling a gun properly. Right? You are not capable of doing it yourself, so you have to have someone else do it for you. Because if anyone was real, if they were free and they were in the truth, they'd understand, like, it doesn't matter what the law is, if I get into a situation where someone is attacking me, I need every resource possible to defend myself, to defend my life.
And what does that say about you, that you don't know that hunk of metal is the boomstick and it makes people go bye-bye? You know what I mean? That's the boomstick. Don't point it at people.
Yeah. Well, and we were talking before how like so many people are so removed from guns nowadays that most people pick up a gun and look right into the barrel, right? Because they're so dumb, they don't get it. And there's this weird thing like, oh, that's where the bullets come out of? Let's look. You know, there's just this weird idea that always enters your head.
It's so weird.
And it's just, I'm at the point where I don't care who's running for president unless they really prove to me they want to defund the system, meaning take the ability for the government to print and coin money to continue its existence out of the picture, and the ability for the government to steal from the citizens through taxation out of the picture. Until anyone wants those two things removed, then all they're going to do is grow the government, right? Because that's really what grows government is resources. And until someone really stands up and represents the idea that the only thing that governs is God, and the way God governs is by leading the hearts of men to guide their wives and children into goodness, you know, down a path of things that are good, right? Like they themselves might not be able to be good, but God can provide good onto them, good stuff to them. And unfortunately, the closest thing we've got to it is Vivek, who it's amazing to hear him say the things he says, but he's such an obscure character to enter because he's nobody.
Yeah, I didn't hear about him until recently.
Yeah, no one knows anything about him except for what we're being told.
Right.
And a bunch of people are starting to research him, and you find a bunch of mixed information, right? Like in his home state, he's voted Democrat recently, or claims to, and he's donated to Democrats. And I don't know if he's donated to Republicans because who knows, you know, like no one's really, people are just starting to dive into him. And he's saying a lot of things that parallel Trump in 2016, but he's also saying a lot of things that parallel Obama.
Right.
In Obama's first election. And he's just this strange outlier that it's a weird situation. Like Trump was a weird situation, right?
But for a different reason.
Character. Right, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, okay, this guy, whoa, holy crap, all of a sudden, news reality TV guy, who's this guy? Oh, orange guy, wait a second, this guy wants to go against everything about the establishment, whoa, big deal. But it's a little bit different. You know, I'm not even disagreeing with what Vivek says, but whenever this conversation comes up, why, like, you know, we can talk about a candidate without, like, you know, we could talk about these people like Vivek and all that without it having to be, will you vote for him? Like, like I talk about Vivek and all these candidates, but I don't at all. Like, none of it is about me if I'll vote for them. I'm just talking about what he said. But I'm not considering that even in the slightest. It's Trump or not. Like, what are we even talking about? If it's not Trump, then what are we talking about?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If anything, this race is like a race to see if any of them are suitable to be in governance, right? It's interesting because the design of the country is supposed to be like one person that, well, not one, but the design of voting for president, someone that temporarily takes the reins and continues like a path of greatness, by allowing the government to remain small.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, in all of my life, and as far as I can research, like we've had these presidents run on platforms of how they're going to fix the country, which is so the opposite of what a president should be.
Yeah.
You know, a president shouldn't be someone trying to come in and take control. That's called a dictator. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I'm following you. That the job itself, presidency, has been warped. Both in what it means in the public's minds and hearts or whatever, and also it's what it is, you know, its actual duties. So I know that's changed quite a bit from the days of Calvin Coolidge. So it's a mess. They say he was like they say he was a sick president because he did nothing. He was he was the most hands-off president. He's like, hey, leave it up to the states, leave it up to them, leave it up to them, leave it up to them. That was like his whole style.
Yep. Yeah, because, I mean, ultimately the job of the federal government is to settle states' rights disputes. You know, it's not to get involved in citizens' lives and settle citizens' disputes. It's supposed to be 50 members of the federal government, 50 states are part of the federal government, and we're all part of our state government. In fact, it's really interesting. If you read any constitution in the United States, one of the things it declares is that it applies to you whether you're within the state or not.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah. So you cannot, like, let's say you live in a state where marijuana is illegal. You cannot go to California or Colorado where it's recreational, or here in Arizona where it's recreational legal, and partake. Your law in your state still has jurisdiction over you.
You're a Texan before you are a, whatever.
Right.
You're a Texan before you are you're an American citizen or whatever.
You're a
or
Texan
Californian
American.
for that matter.
Because all the reason we're called states is because the word state means a freestanding government, and we're 50 states that have unionized to form a nation.
Right.
So we're not first of all, we're not Americans, right? Because Americans means anyone from an American continent.
Right.
Which is North or South America.
Ooh.
Right?
And that's too big of an umbrella. Yep. That's way too big of an umbrella for me.
That's why they've brainwashed us.
Gotcha.
Because if they make us think we're Americans, but ultimately what that does is confuse us to realize or to not know that we are local people.
Yeah.
We are not individuals that live in a country. We're individuals that live
Esoteric in the chat is saying we used to identify with our state to foreigners. Huh.
Yep.
I think that's true.
Absolutely.
I've met people like that. I've met a lot of people like that, actually. Even still.
You're still considered an alien when you're in a state that is not your state.
Right. That makes a lot of sense to me, man. Anchor Baby learning today. Very cool.
Well, that's really what I want to talk about.
Sir.
Everything's becoming gang-like today. The very last thing I want to say is the weirdest pattern of behavior I see coming out of the modern men, the youth of the men, is this extreme feminization. Do you know what check my fit means?
Yeah. I mean, that just means that means you're asking someone to like give a rating on what you're wearing.
Rate your outfit.
Rate your outfit.
And nowadays,
check my fit.
There are these little young men, and they're so insecure and they're so feminized. They take a picture of themselves and they put it on social media, and they ask everyone to rate their outfit. Rate their clothes. That is the least.
Now that's
masculine.
usually like a flexing thing. That's usually because you have something expensive or you look good, and you're just. It is feminine still because it's like a fishing for compliments. It's supposed to be a flex, but I don't know if young men realize, like you're saying, you've very aptly described. I don't know if young men realize that that's a feminine thing that's happening lately. Men didn't flex like that if they did flex. I've learned too because I grew up in that world and I read The Antidote. And in The Antidote, Jesse talks about how young black men, not realizing that they're really into their clothes and all that. But what they're doing is they're trying to attract women the way they learned their own mothers attracted men. And they don't realize, they don't realize, that's what these young guys with the fit check and swag or whatever, they're not realizing that they're showing off kind of in a feminine way. That's now, men had a different way of, if they were going to flex, it was probably a little different. And I believe that.
And I don't know if you're right or wrong about the flexing aspect of it.
Yeah,
right.
Even that sounds a little unmanly, but
I've seen it used plenty of times with just normal clothes, like nothing expensive or impressive.
Yeah.
And even if it is used as something to show off that you just got something other people don't have, that's even more feminine.
Right.
Than to be insecure enough to ask another person. I guess maybe they're equally feminine, but it's just another type of feminization, because to seek reward on earth is to be feminized, is to be led by Satan. Right. And so it's just, we have to Jesse nailed it on the head when he said rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. And it's all about men observing each other, not hating each other, but being able to call each other out and be like, yo, we need to get right.
Yes, sir. Scott, man,
Anyway,
interesting stuff. Appreciate your call.
Yeah, much love. Peace in, love out.
Big time.
Have a beautiful day, everyone.
You too, sir. Call me again. Right on, guys. Right on. Y'all spent a little time there. Spent a little time with my callers there. Appreciate it. You guys rock. I love the calls. I love the calls. I do love the calls. We got some topics done today. We got a little bit of topics done there. We'll leave the rest for tomorrow. I want to get into this, Steve Harvey, some of this and that. You might be a little surprised on this story here. You may have heard Steve Harvey, rumors that his wife is cheating on him. You might be a little surprised on what I want to talk about. Okay, we'll do that tomorrow. We got more stuff. We'll do that tomorrow. American Anchor Baby tomorrow, Tuesday at 12. Don't miss it. We got Joel Friday on Tuesday. You got to love it. Hake Report, JLP Show, Bomb Network. Bomb Network is up. It's up. All right, y'all. What else? Oh, no. I'm horrible. I need a producer or something. I've got super chats, and we're like 2 hours in. Sion, thank you for the support there with the lovely emojis that you always send. Thank you for that. Carver says, callers, if you need a car, I know a guy trying to get rid of his Prius. Mild wear and tear, CD player works. Ask for James. Wait a second. I don't know if that's true, Carver. But thank you for the super chat. Mr. Wombat with a super chat coming in strong says, actually vote for Tim Scott over Trump? Not on my watch. Cute. I like it. Tim Scott, get wrecked by Mr. Wombat. And Carver, who started off the show with a super chat, thank you, says, how can he be 21 years old when he calls himself a baby? I mean, so true, Carver. Tabor with the super chat says, Rhino debate equals I have crooks and they are amazing. Right on, Tabor. Tabor? I'm horrible. Sorry for that. I need a producer or at least some kind of note. I should just keep a little note, a little reminder for myself. You guys were super chatting my show and I appreciate that. You guys rock. Keeping it going. American Anchor Baby. He's got a show and I'm getting super chats. You guys rock. See you guys tomorrow for more American Anchor Baby and, of course, the rest of the Bond Network. It's awesome. Take care, y'all. Peace.